What's going on, everybody? It's How To Tuesday, and we're going to take a break from the knots and the rigging tackle to bring you a more important How To Tuesday. And this week, it is how you can help the area that was devastated by Hurricane Ian. I was just at the Captains for Clean Water Industry Summit and Restore Gala, and it's a fantastic event that generally raises money for clean water efforts. And this year, it had a little different spin to it because the area had been hit so hard. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to even have the event this year, but these are resilient people in more ways than one, not just to have this event, but they, this whole area, Sanibel, Fort Myers, all that entire area was hit incredibly hard. I went down to Fort Myers Beach and drove through the area, and it was bad. I mean, you know, when I unfortunately or interestingly been around a number of hurricanes. We filmed right after Hurricane Katrina in Venice, Louisiana. That one was epic proportions. Certainly seen lots of hurricane stuff in the Keys with Irma and Wilma and Charlie and different ones. And then, you know, been around this hurricane. And when people have asked me, like, how bad was it? It's, I mean, can you put a level on as bad as it gets? I don't know. It's as bad as it gets. It rivaled things that I saw with Katrina. It was certainly, you know, most places are at a total loss. So, but on the other hand, where we were staying in Fort Myers, downtown area, it's fine. It has been cleaned up very, very quickly. The hotels, businesses, restaurants are functioning and open and don't even look like anything. It doesn't even look like anything happened. You drive towards Fort Myers Beach and you start to see, you know, trash piles and debris and other things. And then as you get closer and closer and closer to the beach, you start to see complete and total devastation with everything. Houses, buildings, just not even there anymore in some cases. Some cases there's boats on top of cars and just it's very bad. So in the tradition of Captains for Clean Water, who is a organization that is solution based, that's what I like the most about Captains for Clean Water. When they're going to try to clean up the Everglades, they're always looking at the solution. They're not pointing their finger at the problem. They're always going towards the solution. And in this case, the fishing guides of this area were hit really, really hard. They did a Hurricane Ian damage assessment survey with licensed fishing guides and charter captains, and the average loss was over $40,000. I think it was $44,071 was the average loss. So some people lost more, some people lost less, some people were unaffected, some people had a complete and total loss. But the average loss for a fishing guide was $44,000. So Captains has started to look at how they can help these captains, and of course they're doing it more immediately by being a drop-off site and rallying the outdoor industry to donate clothing, donate shoes, donate coolers, donate everything. They have a whole section of their office that is the store where any fishing guide can come in there and get whatever they want. And that has been very helpful to many that are in need. But now that that first wave is over, we're still stuck with a lot of the fishing guides are having a really hard time. A lot of the communities are having a really hard time. So what Captains has done is establish an emergency disaster relief fund, which is such a good idea in so many ways, because Captains is concerned about clean water, but they're also concerned about our community. Our community are the individuals, and our community is the strength of Captains. Of course, they're leading the charge and telling us where we need to place our focus on something like Senate Bill 2508, which was defeated this year in a wonderful way, and they led the charge for that. But of course, the power comes from each individual, and most of the individuals that are the rallying cry for captains are actual captains, actual fishing guides. So it's very, very important for all of us that these individuals become whole again. And so what Captains has done is they've created this emergency disaster relief fund. And you can go to the front page of captainsforcleanwater.org, and it's right there. Hurricane Ian relief. Here's how you can help. There's an emergency disaster relief fund button. You click that, and it starts to talk about what's going on a little bit. And the idea here is that if captains can accumulate a lot of money in this fund, then they can help in two ways. They can put the fishing guides back to work by helping to clean up our waterways. And, fishing guides are very proud people. They don't want to take handouts. They're more than happy to work. They're more than happy to work on the thing that makes them the happiest is water and clean water and the water that they fish. So they can go out and get booked for a full day, go out, pick up trash, and start to clean up the mangroves, start to clean up the water, start to take water samples with scientists, really work on a solution. And that's what this Emergency Disaster Relief Fund is doing. And Captains is a very reputable organization. I know these guys. 100% of the money that goes there will go directly to providing supplies and operational support for the ongoing relief and recovery efforts. So that is where the money will go. So there's really two ways right now that you could help if you were so inclined to help. Maybe you've been through a hurricane yourself like I have, and man, once you've been through it, you want to help because it's tough when you go through one of these things. So whether you've been through a hurricane or you haven't been through a hurricane, or maybe you just love this area, Sanibel, Fort Myers, this area, it's really hurting. It's really hurting. And if you want to help, there's a couple of ways that you can do it. A lot of these fishing guides are operating out of different marinas or different boat ramps or different places. They're still operating. The fishing is fantastic. I went fishing with Justin Napier, and we had amazing fishing for little tarpon. The big tarpon, the snook, the everything is happening down there, and it is really good. I always think that hurricane is very damaging to man-made things, but it can be very beneficial to the fishing. You can see some incredible fishing, and it's still 5 weeks after the hurricane. We're still experiencing really fantastic fishing down in this area. So the best thing, in my opinion, that you could do would be to go down to this area, find a place that you can stay. In my situation, I just fished around the Fort Myers area. I stayed in downtown Fort Myers. There's lots of hotels down there that are perfectly functioning. They just had some sort of a big festival down there downtown. I guess they had food trucks and everything. There were people walking all over downtown. It looks nice. The hotel we stayed in was unaffected by the hurricane. Then I got in the car and I drove to wherever Justin said we were going to put in, and I fished with him. So if you can, think about going to one of these areas. And if you have a fishing guide that you like to fish with in the past, don't just write it off. These guys, they need to work. Don't just change your vacation plans or just decide, we used to love going to Sanibel and we're not going to go this year because of the hurricane. Well, maybe you could do it just a little bit differently. Maybe you could stay in downtown Fort Myers and fish with your same fishing guide that you have fished with for a number of years. That would be the number one way. Of course, that it takes a little more effort to do that, and that might not be exactly the way that you can help this year. The second way that you could help this year, if you didn't want to go to the area and fish with a guide themselves, is you could donate to this emergency relief fund. And this would be through Captains for Clean Water. There's a form on there and you can make your donation securely right over the website. That would be the second best way to help. The third best way to help would be to plan a trip in the future and not write this area off. It is going to take a long time for it to come back, and certain areas are hit much, much harder than others. But, get back to this area and help in the recovery by spending some money in the economy, by booking fishing guides, by booking bird watching guides, by going shelling, by doing the things that you were doing before. There are ways that can still be done. And maybe you can't stay in exactly the same place that you've always stayed, but maybe you could change it up a little bit, get that money going back into the economy, and support the people when they need it the most. And so go down there yourself, donate to the Emergency Disaster Relief Fund, plan a trip in the future. Those are the three ways that I think that you can help the most effectively right now. And, here it is. So today's November 7th. We have another hurricane that is coming towards the East Coast. Of course, many of the people that were affected by Hurricane Ian are on the other side of the coast, but there was widespread flooding all through the state of Florida. And here comes another one. So it's not like this one is going to be on the scale of Hurricane Ian, but it is, something that people are going to have to deal with. So if you can, think about donating to the Emergency Disaster Relief Fund. I will have a link in the description. There'll be a link in this week's email. There'll be a link on my Instagram story. And that's something that you could do if you were so inclined. All right. So good luck to all the people that were impacted by this storm. It's nothing that is any fun to see or talk about or experience. So we're all thinking about you. We're with you. And hopefully we'll get some people to donate to this relief fund and get back on the water and get our waters cleaned up and back in business. All right, that's How To Tuesday for this week. We'll see you next week.